Welcome back to the Rhythm of Money. I'm Indigo Dutton, retired business consultant, therapist, and investment advisor, and I'm so glad you're here. This is the last episode of our first season. And for those of you who did the invitation of last week, you've now summed up your financial life in terms of net worth and cash flow. The whole picture. What you have against what you owe, net worth. What comes in against what goes out, cash flow. The accounts, the balances, the totals, the gaps, the places that feel reassuring, and the places that may still need attention. You've seen it all with your own eyes, and from a steadier ground than the part of you that used to avoid it. And I want you to take that in for a second, because that's not small. You did the thing this entire season was built to make possible. Whatever you found, you looked at it, and you're still here. And that means something. Because this season was never just about feeling better around money. It was about becoming the kind of woman who can begin making better choices, wise choices, empowered choices. That relies upon being able to see what's true in your financial life without disappearing, collapsing, bracing, or turning away. You're now the woman who can. And that's exactly what we're building upon next. Season 2 starts next week with no break, and we're going to begin moving into more concrete work with your financial life. Budgeting, saving, investing, optimizing things like cash flow and net worth, securing retirement, the actual structures that help a life become financially resilient. That's the key word. We're after the kind of prosperity that can take a hit of chance and still keep supporting you securely. But we're not going to do that from panic. We're not going to do it from shame. And we're not going to do it from trying to force yourself into someone else's system. We're going to do it from the confident, capable, resilient ground you've been building all season. So today is the bridge. We're going to mark what has changed and let your body fully digest and integrate the feeling of what it's like to be at this point you've achieved. And most importantly, I have something to give you. It's called Deep Receiving. It's an attunement recording I made for you with soothing music, gentle tones, and spoken words of safety, receiving, and being capable with money. It's not one more thing to manage, it's something to receive. And I'll tell you how to get it before we end today. So stay with me for this entire episode down to the final words, because this isn't just the end of season 1. It's the place where the inner work begins turning into real financial accomplishment. Now, if you're new, you're welcome right here and now. This is a good place to land, but you'll get more from it once you go back to the beginning at some point, especially episodes 1 and 2. For now, just walk this last stretch with me. Here's what we'll do today. I'm not going to walk you back through all 10 episodes and remind you what each one was about. You can just look at the episode list for that and look at their descriptions. What I do want to do is show you what's actually different now. Because something is, and I don't think it's the thing you might expect. The change isn't that you've added something. The change is that something has stopped. Once I name that, I want you to do one last practice with me. One we haven't done before. One that only makes sense now after you've engaged with your finances from within this approach, within the Rhythm of Money approach. And then I want to show you how this becomes the foundation for the concrete money work we begin in season 2. So let me tell you what I've watched happen again and again with women looking at their real financial lives. The ones who changed weren't always the ones who learned the most. They weren't always the ones who earned the most, started the earliest, or finally found the perfect strategy. And I told you that back in episode 1, and I meant it. The ones who changed were the ones who stopped fighting a battle against themselves. I want to be precise about what I mean by that because it's crucial. For most of your life, some part of you may have been at war with your own financial life. Maybe not loudly, maybe more quietly, but a low, constant fight. The fight to not look, the fight to not feel the dread, or the guilt or the shame. The fight to keep the account small so you wouldn't feel exposed. The fight to give everything away so you wouldn't have to feel guilty about having more than others. The fight to stay just busy enough, just distracted enough that you never had to sit down and see what was actually happening. All these different types of fights within yourself take energy. You're probably not doing all of them, but any of them take enormous amounts of energy. And the hardest part is that you may not even have known that's where the energy was going. You just felt tired or foggy or behind or strangely unable to do the thing you knew you needed to do. But underneath everything, day after day, year after year, some part of you was spending energy trying to not make contact with the full truth of your financial life. And here's what happened when you sat down last week and you looked. The fight stopped. Not every fear, not all the old vows, not every difficult feeling about money. Those don't vanish in one season, and I'd be lying to you if I said they had. The vow may still speak. It probably spoke while you were building those two pictures. The doubts may have come up. The old pull to close the app, change the subject, or tell yourself you do it later may have come up. But something was different. You could see it speaking. You could notice the part of you that wanted to turn away without letting that part take over. And that is the crucial difference. You used to be lost in the fight as if the fight was you. Now you can see the fight happening between parts of yourself while remaining the one who sees it. And you cannot fully unsee that. You may forget sometimes, we all forget sometimes, but the capacity does not disappear. The woman who can watch her own bracing and keep looking anyway is not the same woman who began this season. Not because she's fixed, because she's no longer hiding from herself. And everything you'll ever build with money has to begin from there, from a woman who can see what's true and stay present with it. That matters when you start budgeting, because you can look at what's actually coming in and going out without making it mean something more than just numbers. It matters when you start choosing your saving targets, because you can notice the parts of you that want to delay the savings or minimize it, or that want to overestimate what's needed to the point that it undermines you without automatically obeying either of those parts. It matters when you start investing, because you can feel the difference between fear, impatience, intuition, good to know information, and a real signal that something needs your action right now. It matters when you look at retirement, debt, income, taxes, net worth optimization, building resilience, and the long-term shape of your life. Because strategy only helps when the woman using the strategy can stay present enough to use it. That's why we did this first. Season 1 was not a detour from the practical work. It was the part that makes the practical work usable. So I want to mark that right now, not with a summary, with an experience that lets it land and fully become a part of you. Let's do one last practice together. And this one is different from every practice we've done all season. Every practice before this was for meeting something. The reset for the hard moment. The focusing for the charged thing you wanted to move from fog into insight. The daily first receiving for beginning the day embodying receptivity before effort. The exercise last week for remaining centered as you did an important financial act you'd been avoiding. This one isn't for meeting anything. This one is for letting your body recognize what it feels like when the fight is no longer running the whole system. When there's nothing to brace against right now because you've already looked, you've already done the calculations, you've engaged your finances, and you're still here. And after we do this, I'm going to show you how this exact ground becomes the beginning of season 2 and everything that becomes possible then. So If you're driving, keep your eyes on the road. Let this move through you lightly. For everyone else, let yourself settle. However you are is fine. You don't need to adjust your seating. You don't need to breathe differently. Let your eyes close if they want to. Let the breath drop if it wants to. Let the shoulders come down if they want to. Notice how the ground holds you, whether it's holding you in a chair or on your feet. The way it's been holding you this whole time, just notice. I want you to notice something else that's also true right now, in this moment. There's nothing you're hiding from. The net worth and cash flow picture is seen. The accounts are known. The thing you spent so long not looking at, you've looked at it. It's behind you now. It's just information sitting in a document, and you've already met it. So notice. Is there anything to brace against right now as you note this to yourself? Anything to run from? Anything you're holding your breath to avoid? There probably isn't, and your body may not quite believe it yet. It braced for so long that bracing started to feel like home when money comes up, the idea of normal you kept coming back to. So let me invite you to feel what's actually here instead. Notice the places that have been holding tight for years. The chest, the stomach, the jaw, the shoulders. And see if just a little they can let go now. They have already let go. Not because you're forcing them to relax, because there's genuinely nothing left to guard against in this moment. The guarding is done. You can release the guard from those duties. At least give her a vacation. This is what it feels like on the other side of the looking. Not finished, just quieter. A little more open and spacious. Like a room after a sound that was there for so long that you stopped even noticing it. Well, that sound finally stops, and you realize how loud it had been. Let yourself rest in that silence for a moment. Nothing to brace against. Nothing to hide. Just you. Here. Whole. On the far side of the thing you were most afraid to see. Take this feeling with you. This is the ground everything else gets built on. Not fear, not cleverness. This. And now take a deeper breath and come fully back to where you are. That place you just touched is not a reward for finishing the season. It's the starting line for everything that's coming next. Because here's the turn. You've spent the season learning to see and engage, to look at what's true without flinching, without hiding, without being run by the fear underneath. That was the whole job of season 1. Building the capacity to see and remain present in body and mind while you engage your finances. But seeing isn't the destination. Seeing is what makes the next thing possible. Now that you can see more clearly, you can choose more wisely. And that's where we begin next week. Season 2 is about choosing. Real choices, made from the foundation you've built. We're going to work with the necessary aspects of a secure financial life. But the approach we take is still going to be grounded in your ability to listen to the wisdom of your body while you do it. Because your body has a language around money. Sometimes it says no because an old protection is trying to keep you safe. Sometimes it says no because something really is not aligned. Sometimes it says yes because a choice is clean. Sometimes it says yes because you're trying to prove yourself, please someone, or outrun fear. Season 2 is where we go much deeper into that distinction. We're going to learn how to tell the difference between fear and wisdom, between an old protection and a true signal, between a clean yes and a pressured one, between a financial decision that belongs to you and one that was handed to you by panic, shame, family history, or someone else's idea of what a woman like you is supposed to do. We're going to take the looking you've learned and turn it into deciding. What to do with a gap once you can see it. How to work with spending without making yourself wrong. How to build savings without feeling like you have to disappear into restriction. How to approach investing without needing to become someone mechanical or expert at analysis. How to begin closing the distance between where you are and where you want to be. That's where we're headed. The seeing and staying present was season 1, and the wise choosing is season 2. And it starts next Wednesday, same place, same time. There's no break. We go straight on. So follow the show wherever you're listening so you don't miss it. And now I want to give you what I mentioned at the beginning. All season, I've been giving you short practices. 5 seconds here, 10 seconds there. Things you can reach for in the middle of a real day. A chance within an episode to spend 5 minutes fully steeped in well-being around money. And those are important. But there's a kind of work that goes deeper than anything that such a short practice can reach. The kind that needs you lying down, undisturbed, with half an hour to truly let something be given to you, fully received, and allowed to settle in and become part of your pool of resource. That's what I like to call it. This pool of resource that you can draw from. So I made you something. I call it Deep Receiving. It's a 30-minute guided recording with soothing music, gentle tones, and spoken words of safety, receiving, and being capable with money. Think of it as an attunement, tuning you to the frequency of being, doing, and having what you want. Words of well-being, words of ease, words that remind you that you don't have to endlessly prove your worthiness before you're allowed to receive. I call these unearned blessings, and they're some of the most important kind. Words that help your system begin to recognize prosperity as something you can let in, not something you have to brace against or chase. And you don't have to do anything with it. You lie down, you let it play, you let a more fulfilling relationship with prosperity settle into you while you rest. Things we hear in a restful state have a way of taking root, and this is built to let the empowered story take root in you, so that you can move into your day from a centered, creative, awake place that isn't organized around anxiety. I'd suggest doing it in the morning or at latest afternoon, actually, not right before bed, because it is made to leave you more clear, creative, and present, not to send you to sleep. And you don't need to do it every day. Once a week is plenty. This is not one more thing to manage. It's a gift, right? So you receive it, you unwrap it, you enjoy it, and just allow it to bless you and bless your creative work in this world. And here's how to get it. So I've started a mailing list, and Deep Receiving is my gift to everyone on it. So you just join at therhythmofmoney.com, which, it does include the word "the" at the start, therhythmofmoney.com, and I'll send it your way. You'll also get a short note from me each Wednesday with the direct link to the week's new episode. So the show comes to you instead of you having to go find it. And the link to join is also in the episode's description. So that's a wrap on our first season. You may have come in carrying a quiet vow you didn't know you'd made, A belief that wanting financial prosperity made you less of the kind of woman you were trying to be. And week by week, you learned to see that vow instead of being controlled by it. You added tools to your toolkit. You met your own bracing. And then you sat down and created a summary of your financial life, the thing you'd been avoiding for who knows how long. And you survived it. Not because it didn't matter, but because there was never anything there that could destroy you. There was information. There was history. There were feelings. There may have been decisions waiting to be made, but there was nothing you couldn't meet. You're not finished. Nobody's finished. I'm not finished. But you're no longer hiding from it in the same way. And that changes everything that comes after. I'm so glad you're here. I'll see you next Wednesday for the beginning of season 2. This is the rhythm of money. And always remember, a life that abundantly sustains you is a life that can keep giving. Isn't that what you choose to create?